Hi there, I'm Mangy Fetlocks, the quasi-intellectual existentialist cowboy, here to sing my newest song for you, a little song that I like to call The Ballad of Jim O'Leary. I hope you like it. Kind of an interesting introduction, I think. The world changed in 1932 when Jim O'Leary made his great debut. In Bessemer, they say that he was born. And Bessemer's in Michigan, which you already probably know. And Michigan's a northern state where wolverines are said to roam. And so the parents in that state will often live in morbid fear that as their children play outside, there is a chance they'll be devoured. But fortunately, that was not the case. Our dear Jim. Jim. No, the wolverines love him. In Ironwood, our hero Jim was raised, a middle child of 3 and highly praised. He peddled magazines from door to door and read exciting comic books and listened to the radio to hear the latest baseball scores to get updated on the war. And now and then from time to time his cousins might stop by to chat, and if Mickey the Squealer came, he had to mind his P's and Q's because, as you might guess, she loved to squeal, and hence the name Mickey the Squealer. Quite a great deal. Squeal, 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 Mickey, squeal. What secrets she'd reveal. Jim's a charmer, one cannot dispute, and women always think of him as cute. In high school he had 3 girlfriends at once. Thank God they lived in different towns, or he'd have known a world of hurt, for they all thought they were the one. But he was careful all the time, just as he had been as a child, avoiding those damn wolverines, and thus he pulled it off with great finesse, as you might guess. Jim is graceful under stress. For university, Jim chose Marquette, pursuing all the knowledge he could get. He labored long and hard during the day. Then he and other Delta 6 would head downtown to raise some heck, and unbeknownst to him, it seems the dark-haired waitress came along, and just like in some movie scene, dumped steaming coffee in his lap, and he was smitten then and there, though Ava Gardner held his heart. But in a bid to look gallant, he asked the girl to be his bride, and they were married very soon. But to this day, he still avoids both wolverines and steaming cups of joe, which just goes to show. He can just go with the flow. Loves to read, I state this as a fact. By anyone who knows him, I'll be backed. Max Schulman is an author that he loved. So in the early 70s, when I first showed up at the scene in the hopes that I might win the love of his one daughter named Colleen, he looked at me with some disdain, aware my sense of humor was what some might call a little warped, and recommended that I read a book called Barefoot Boy with Cheek, which changed the way I viewed the world, and made of me the man you see today, which is okay. I'll say huzzah for him. Huzzah, a word I learned while reading Max Schulman books. A perfectly good word. Well, unless you're talking politics, and some goddamn Republicans have gone and made a mess of things by treading on the worshipping stiffs who bust their butts from day to day in hopes they earn a living wage, which Jim believes is little more than right. And he's polite. Jim. He'll bark, but he won't bite. Jim could run for days. He has so many traits that earn him praise. Trust him with my taxes and accounts. Cause Jim has great experience perusing mountains of receipts and won't mince words and telling you that no, you fool, you can't deduct the time you went to Disneyland because while there you got to meet the very charming Mickey Mouse. Although it well may be the case you manage a small hardware store and sell a mousetrap now and then. Tough luck. I guess you're stuck. Up to Scrooge McDuck. I guess I would say it's one of his personal heroes. In honor of Jim's 80th birthday, in closing, I would simply like to say there's very few who measure up to him. Despite the fact in Minnesota, working for his good-for-nothing son-in-law down in Winona, he was cited for performing wiring without a license, supervised by his friend Felix, who's a bona fide electrician, which shows what happens when you try to help your kid. But Jim, we're truly glad you did. He's always fit and trim, prefers whole milk to skim, deserves a sacred hymn. He starred as Tiny Tim, quotes Pogo on a whim. His light is far from dim. We stand, we